Hello again, everybody. This is Pro Football Enterprises, hot seat or not. I am Ben Parker. Over there is Simon Short, and over the other side of the aisle is Shane Ratliff. So we really appreciate everybody being on board with us tonight. Appreciate you being on board. For those of you who may look at this board tonight and wonder why are all these people positioned this way, we already did another whole show where we covered 20 guys. You'll see that on the right hand of your screen, the green side that we largely think should be safe without too much argument or discussion to be had. And then we had five guys in the middle: Stefanski, Glenn, Sirianni, Taylor, McDermott, who we felt like 50 to 75%. We think they're staying. We don't think they're going. It's not that they can't go, because they can. Anybody can, right? But we think they're safe. If you think we're stupid or you're like, what the heck are you talking about? Why is that guy in that spot? Go check out that other show first before you throw comments at us and just get a feel for how we got to where we got, okay? Because you might be right. We may have guys in the wrong spot, but go check that show out first and you'll get, I think that's what, probably a 40, 45-minute show we did. Get a feel for that, then come back over here and see, why we came to this conclusion. What it leaves us with, though, is the guys we really do think there's some real conversations about, okay? That there's a real good chance they may be gone for any number of reasons, okay? So it's Raheem Morris. It's interim Mike McCoy. It's Jonathan Gannon. It's Mike McDaniel. It's interim Mike Kafka. It's Pete Carroll. It's Mike Tomlin, okay? They're not all in the same boat, okay? They're in some very different positions, some of them. But we're going to talk about each of them in their turn. I feel like Mike Tomlin deserves the lead here. We even debated whether or not to cover him at the end of the last episode, but I think he deserves the lead here. Simon, it's your team. Obviously, you've got the terrible towel waving in the background. You elected, because any of us could have, you elected not to put him in the safe zone. So we don't have 3 hours, unfortunately, but as concise as you have the ability to do. Talk to us about Tomlin, what you think will happen, but also what you would do as well.
You gave me every opportunity to declare him safe too, because in the 5 years that we've known and podcasted with each other, I have been the staunchest Mike Tomlin
Yes,
supporter. And it's the
yes,
reason why this is going to be pretty concise. I don't have the 2, 3, 8, 10 years of vitriol towards Tomlin that I've been wanting him gone.
yeah,
I'm not the section of Steelers fans that say he won a Super Bowl with Cowher's team. Like that's not me. I love Mike Tomlin. I
right,
I adore Mike Tomlin. I am terrified of what's on the other side of the door when
mm,
you let go of a legitimate top five head coach. Because yeah, we named all of those guys safe, but it's not because all of those guys are going to be head coaches for even 2 more years necessarily, right? You
right,
never know what is going to happen. Look at how many coaches have been fired in their first year, right after their first year. The stability and the consistency that Tomlin brings and the stuff he does behind the scenes that we don't get to watch on Sundays is stuff that not every coach can do or does. That said, after the Bears game a week and a half ago was the first time I start to come off of the I'm 100% not just convinced Tomlin's going to be here, but I'm not 100% that it is the best thing for the Steelers for Tomlin to be with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So another year of people pointing out archaic and obvious defensive schematic issues. It's another year of a lame duck quarterback. So could this be the year we end the merry-go-round? Tomlin is very clearly a very good coach, and the team just hasn't found a franchise quarterback since Ben Roethlisberger retired. It's the same thing as waiting for your franchise quarterback to retire because he's not who he was in his prime, right? Like I knew this was going to happen when Roethlisberger retired. You don't want what's on the other side of the door, right? You don't Del Curry. You don't want to be out here. You don't want to be out here because I have now watched Mitch Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, Kenny
mm,
Pickett, Justin
mm,
Fields, Russell Wilson, and 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers take significant snaps for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I would
right.
trade all of them for even 2021 Ben Roethlisberger in a heartbeat. All right. So you can't just replace a Hall of Fame franchise quarterback. But Tomlin is at the center of that quarterback carousel and the way it has gone down. And I've said this whole time, kudos to him because he's not sticking with any one guy for too long, right? Everyone's getting 3/4 of a year to a year and a half to figure it out. Otherwise, you're out of there. The one thing they haven't done yet is make the major trade up for a legitimate top five quarterback. And Tomlin, to his credit, when he believes in a quarterback again, will know because they'll start attacking the middle of the field again.
Yeah.
They'll
Yeah.
start going for it on fourth down again. They'll start pushing the 2-minute drill again. They'll try to start scoring at the end of halves. Last year, for the first 3 games that Russell Wilson was the starter, Tomlin believed again. Tomlin loves Russell Wilson. Richmond guys, 757 guys, right? Like he wanted Russell Wilson in the building. He hadn't believed in anybody that way since Roethlisberger. And it was the first time that Tomlin wasn't punting on 4th and 3 from the 45-yard line. It was the first time he was using his timeouts with under a minute to go in the half because he was trying to score again. But then by the end of the year, you could tell he didn't trust him anymore because he stopped doing that. He starts punting, he starts relying on the defense, he starts playing against the numbers. This year with Rodgers, I think there was like 1.5 games where Tomlin was all the way in, and then very quickly he was like, yeah, he doesn't have that many throws in him anymore. So if you tell me the Steelers trade up and get into the top six and take a quarterback and that works out, I still believe Tomlin could be the coach that works out for it. He's never going to have the OC that's going to be the new hotshot wonder kid genius. He's never going to have even the defensive coordinator that does the helter skelter, Mike McDonald kind of at the forefront of defense. But he's going to do all the other stuff. He's going to build the culture that you need and let a franchise quarterback go be a franchise quarterback. So at the end of the day, that's what's most important. But the reason he can't be in the 50% range for me right now, in terms of my own personal confidence, what I would do is because it's even less likely that that trade up for that quarterback does indeed work out. It is a 50-50 shot that a franchise quarterback is good in the first round, let alone right away in 2 years and a year and turns the franchise around, right? So I'm starting to waver a little bit. I have a couple of candidates that I'm intrigued by at this point. It's nothing that at this point right now I'm saying definitely move on from Tomlin and do, but I do think the greater percent chance of Pittsburgh getting off the merry-go-round of 9-8, 10-7, a slightly above average defense and average offense, the best chance of that getting changed isn't finding the franchise quarterback because it's so hard to do. It is moving on from Tomlin and taking the risk of okay, which 33-year-old offensive coordinator is going to come in and change the way we completely look at football? Um, both those things are very, those aren't the greatest percent chances of hitting in either of those scenarios, but that's what you're looking at when you're looking at moving off of a coach as good as Mike Tomlin. So that's my soliloquy. I will now allow the defense to come make their motion. If you're going to want a hard and fast answer, I think he is safe. I think there's like a 95% chance he is safe unless he wants to go somewhere else. And at the end of the day, I probably wouldn't pull the trigger on moving on from Tomlin before I make that all-in investment in a young quarterback. Um, but I would want the DC changed, and I would want to talk to Arthur Smith and say, what do you actually want to do offensively? Do you actually want to not hit the middle of the field at all? Um, do you actually want to run on 2nd and 10 every time? If you don't want to do those things, great, let's keep rolling. If you do, I need you to go too. Um, so I'm 95% he will stay. 85% I want him to stay.
Shane, it's not an easy conversation. I think I know what you're going to say, but I got to hear it. So, Mike Tomlin, again, what do you think will happen here, and what would you do if you were in charge here?
So I think Simon hit on some key points. I think if he ends up going, this is an angry mob fan base that pushes this to where he decides he's going to divorce the Steelers as opposed to them letting him go. I think the point that Simon made that I think is most appropriate is if you're going to get rid of a coach that gets you to the first round of the playoffs every single year, who am I picking up that's going to do better than Mike Tomlin? I don't see a coach that's sitting out there that's going to be lights out. in my mind, there's nobody in the college game that I go, man, they're going to be great when I bring them into the pros. So I don't see any room for that. The scuttlebutt that's going around a lot is because of the truthful marriage of the Giants and the Steelers is that the Giants may try to talk Mike Tomlin into seeing what he could do with the Giants team. That would give him a young quarterback, give him a running back with an attitude, and a defense that has some talent but needs a leader. So, I mean, I think he may find that a little bit more interesting than he has in years past. If I'm Mike Tomlin, I know my coaching ability being questioned when I'm the consecutive winning streak coach out there, and every single year somebody's got something to say to me. Maybe I don't want to sit with the Steelers anymore. Um, Simon also mentioned the in-season Cleveland Brown esque quarterback roster that Mike Tomlin's had to deal with. I mean, if I was him, it harkens back to a time when you had Duck Devlin. If you could talk him into being back at quarterback instead of hanging out with Laney Wilson, maybe that'll help you out. But I mean, this team is in disarray. So if you let go of Mike Tomlin, who am I getting to that's going to pull this team back together? I don't see that happening. Um, so that's why I thought that he would be safe, but there's so much talk about it. I didn't think that we could put him in that real true safety zone.
Agree. That's excellent work by both of you. I'll be real quick here on Tom, and I'm going to slide him over here, kind of largely in our green zone, but I'll put him right there on the edge of it just for everybody OCD out there. Um, my feelings on Tomlin, he's a Hall of Fame coach. I love this guy. I absolutely love this guy. I would want to give him a lifetime contract. And there's no way they can fire him. They're not in a position they can fire him. You just cannot fire this guy. He's won too much for too long, including a Super Bowl. You just can't fire the guy. And he's always got competitive teams, and he always has a winning record, and he's almost always in the playoffs. There's no way you can fire this guy. If he goes, y'all both said it. It's going to have to be because he decided to go, you know? Now, I might even have a conversation with him that, hey, the fan base is angry. It's been a really long time since we've won anything significant. Are you interested in going? If you're not, we are going to give you everything you need and want, including trading up high in the first round to get a quarterback that you really like. Simon already mentioned that. But they just can't let him go. They're going to look too bad to too many eyes for too many decades if they decide to let him go. It will have to be because he leaves. I'm not sure if he shouldn't leave. It's been here a long time. I know a lot of staunch Tomlin defenders, and I respect this, who say he hasn't had a quarterback in a decade. Okay, he's been the decision maker. They are not bringing anybody in that building, and I don't, they're not bringing a special teams player in that building unless he signs off on it, much less the quarterback for the franchise. So he's had a large part in that. And I don't blame him. Heck, he drafted a guy I wanted in Kenny Pickett. So I'm not saying, if he continues to win, but if he were available tomorrow, there would be a dozen teams calling him immediately, including some of these teams that we have in the safe category, and begging him to come and coach their teams. And if I was the general manager of one of those teams, I would be with the guy calling, all right, immediately. That's how much respect I have for him. That's my feel here on the Mike Tomlin thing. He's not going anywhere unless he wants to, is really my feel here. I just don't see it's not bad enough to where you can actually let him go. It's just not that. So
Can I pose you
I'm
guys a question? Can I play host for just a second because this
shoot
is
it, man.
this is out there. You can't fire him. It's about if he wants to go.
Hmm.
Does the idea of trading him and getting something make you more interested in doing it?
For me, yes,
If
it's
someone
kind of
gave
a
you
way.
if someone gave you
Yeah.
like their first round pick. Now some of the people are saying first round, like some people are saying Giants first round pick this year. The Giants aren't sending the second overall pick for Mike Tomlin right now. Now that would, it would take a swap and it would maybe take like another, the Steelers send pick 15 or whatever it would be, which that was the one that kind of got me because it was like, well, if you just instead of trading future firsts, you're trading Mike Tomlin for who you think is franchise quarterback. Interesting. But again, that idea of like, what if that quarterback's bad and then you don't have a head coach anyways? But so if you both are pretty like from the Steelers' point of view, 80% are up that they're keeping him. Does that percentage come down for you guys if you're like, okay, we could trade him though? And let's say you either get a first this year or you get like 2 seconds or something like that.
For me, yes. I'll let Shane answer in a second. For me, it's a clean way out, right? Because it's a way to say, hey, we're getting something back because he is so valuable. And there's no draft pick that's going to equal Tomlin. We know that. But we're getting something back. And Tomlin had to agree to this. We don't have the right to ship him out. He's not one of the players. Tomlin had to sign off on this and agree to this and say, yep,
Right.
I'm ready to go over there and coach. So that's a really clean kind of a mutual way out for me. Because you got to ask yourself the question. It's been a long time now. Do we Tomlin could coach for 20 more years. 2 decades this guy could coach, and deservedly so. He's earned it. But if it's 9-8 every year and we don't win another playoff game for 2 decades, when do we say enough's enough? So you have to ask yourself that question. For me, that would be, where I would land. Shane?
Well, for me, I think you have to look into Christmases past, and if you're a team that's on the upward swing, or you have a winning record and maybe you just need something to touch you over the top. I'm looking maybe at the Buffalo Bills in this situation. You make a move like this.
Mm,
You take like what happened with Gruden. He had a solid team with the Raiders,
yeah.
and Tampa Bay went, yeah, okay, we're gonna trade to get Gruden. He's gonna be our number one pick. We think he'll change the way that we play. We're gonna get a Super Bowl out of it. I think Tampa's happy with the way that played out. But if you're the Giants, does bringing Tomlin in after a trade put you up into the upper echelon right away? I don't think it does. I think he could change a lot with that team. I think he'd be helpful for it. But like Simon said, you're not going to trade the number 2 pick to get Mike Tomlin. That's no knock on Mike Tomlin, but the sheer volume and value of that pick uh, can do more than you could ever do. Um, and I think how we evaluate moves like that, it has changed because of that one situation with Gruden. And then I also think the way the Rams for years have just thrown away draft picks to guarantee uh, trades has proven that sometimes it's better to just go with what you know than what I'm going to trust that a 19, 20-year-old is going to do when they get to the league. Um, so that's what I would be surprised. I think I don't see a lot of teams that are going to be willing to throw a draft pick to get a head coach anymore because you pay head coaches enough. And if you just want a new one, there's always somebody that you can dangle a little bit of money. And as we've mentioned, there's like this is a wanted job. There's not 700 NFL coaches. So you're going to find somebody that's going to want even the worst franchise. Look, Aaron Glenn took a job with the Jets. You don't think he knew that team was going to be terrible this year? You're damn well he knew it was going to be bad. And he knew there were problems. But I get to tell my family and everybody else that I'm a head coach in the NFL. I think that's what sets you apart. Um, like what Simon said, I think everything goes on how you trust this Mike Tomlin relationship. If you're the Steelers and you want him gone, I think you sit him down and you go, you're going to have a new offensive coordinator and a new defensive coordinator next year. I don't care your thoughts on this. We're telling you. So you can either be a process of me selecting them or we're just going to find a whole new staff. I think that type of talk would be something that would push Mike Tomlin out.
Mm,
He's very loyal to his guys.
yes.
He brings people back after they, get a promotion and then end up dropping back. Um, he's from that tree. And I think that's the way if you're the Steelers and Omar, if you want him gone, you start to dictate the terms. And I think Mike Tomlin says, that's fine. I'll go find somebody else to coach for.
It's a great point, Shane. Yeah, about how to get Mike to change his mind on his own because we really the three of us don't think they can just axe him. All right, it's not that bad. It's got to get really bad, and I don't think it's ever going to get really bad. Right. I'll throw one more way in there to get Mike Tomlin to change his mind. And then Simon, I'm gonna let you wrap up the bow and have the final word here on this segment, okay, with Tomlin because he deserves his own segment here. If I'm in Miami, I'm a decision maker in Miami, and I'm a decision maker in Atlanta, or I'm a decision maker in Tennessee. Probably not Tennessee because it's in division, right? Is that are they in division? They're not in division, but anyway,
No,
it's
not anymore.
close. Yeah. So
Conference.
anyway, Miami, Arizona, Atlanta, even Tennessee. Yes, I am banging the Steelers headquarters nonstop. And obviously, I can't just go run and talk to Tomlin myself officially, but I am going to bang Pittsburgh headquarters so hard that they are basically forced to go and say, "Hey, Mike, we're getting some real strong heat over here from this franchise. They want you bad. They're offering a draft pick. They really want you. Are you at all interested?" And that's an easy way right there, too, for Mike to have a clean way out, because, Mike doesn't want to quit on the Steelers either, obviously. He's that kind of a guy, man. And I love him for it. But that's a way too that Mike could say, they're not sure they want me around here. I do like that other franchise since they like me so good. It does ease the path a little bit. Simon, wrap a final bow on this segment here. We'll give Tomlin his own entire segment.
I love Mike Tomlin. This is not a anti Mike Tomlin thing. This is a I think it was in this segment, or maybe it was the end of the last one. McDermott, Harbaugh, Carroll, Tomlin. I do think the what I didn't harp on earlier was I do think the like bones of how on the field the game is played has passed these guys for the most part. Maybe not McDermott, but has passed these guys for the most part. Um, I snuck this in earlier. The DC does need to change, and Terrell Austin is a good DC. He's a good coach. Don't get me wrong, but this team just needs new, fresh ideas, one way or another. And that's why for me, like I want Tomlin to stay, assuming that happens, right? I want Arthur Smith to be able to get into his bag a little bit more. But to Shane's point, I would say like we need a real fresh look at the literal schematics of how we play. You keep doing your thing in terms of the culture and the relationships and the player recruitment and how you get down one on one with like recruits on in the draft process, all of that stuff. Set the culture, set the foundation. But it was funny the Adam Thielen joins the Steelers. Shout out to the tweet of Tomlin's going to say we can't eat soup with forks, and then he'll sign a 2018 Pro Bowler. Um, but like the story or the tweet, whatever, was like Thielen called his wife and was like, "I've had so many profound conversations, and none of them are about football." And I'm like, I kind of want them to start being about football. I'm sorry,
Right.
like I love that about Tomlin, and I love that people love that, and all the players in the NFL want to play for him. I kind of want someone to talk about football sometimes and like
Yeah.
what we should do on third and long and like when we should go for it on four. I want just once I would like to see that conversation. So like Tomlin, you be in charge of everything, but like let's get an OC and a DC that are really gonna like actually call plays to win games. That would be if we can do that to Shane's point, however hard of a conversation that has to be. Um, the literal way that football is played should be changed, and maybe that can't get changed when Tomlin's there. Maybe that can't get changed until there's a franchise quarterback. So there's other roadblocks. Even if I can sit here and say like I want Tomlin to be on team, there's other hard conversations that have to happen. But I don't think it's as easy as fire Tomlin, bring in another guy, and everything's going to be fixed. It's a hard road either way. So I'd rather take the one that includes Mike Tomlin driving the car.
It's a very unusual situation, especially in the NFL. But that's Mike Tomlin, everybody. That's our thoughts. If you got thoughts, throw them in the comments. We would appreciate it as well because it's not easy or clean for most of us out there. There's a few people that's very clean for, but not for most of us. All right. So Tomlin deserves his own segment. He's getting it here on Pro Football Enterprises. Thank you very much. Check out the other coaching segments we're going to be doing, but that's it. So thank you everybody for watching. Good night.